All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. and Keith Thurman. Errol Spence took to Twitter to disrespect Keith Thurman. Hilarious stuff, but I gotta express I have a difference of opinion in this regard. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. We are still in the welterweight division, the hottest division in American boxing, along with the lightweight division. Errol Spence Jr. takes to Twitter to respond to, I can only assume, rumors that it's one of three things that he's referring to. Errol Spence Jr. can be very cryptic in his tweets. He says that Keith Thurman is not about to fight him. Doesn't say who him is, and then says that MF wouldn't even look my direction when we were both champions. Paraphrasing his tweets. Right now, before I get into that though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a regular subscriber to the channel, if you are not a regular subscriber to the channel, please accept my invitation and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do on a daily basis. Usually talk about the hottest topics in boxing in our videos and on the live streams that we do pretty much every day, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Weekends, we may push it back to a little bit later. However, you can definitely always have a really good boxing conversation with somebody on the channel. All right, so let's get into this. Who is Errol Spence Jr. referring to with saying Keith Thurman would not fight him? There are three potential people that he could be talking about. First and foremost is Terrence Crawford, because there's conversations about Keith Thurman fighting Terrence Crawford. Keith Thurman said that he would be Terrence Crawford said he wanted to fight Keith Thurman. That was earlier in this year. He had said it previously, but he also said it this year after his fight with Sean Porter and after the Keith Thurman Mario Barrios fight. He could also be referring to Jaron Ennis because there's been talks just around about him fighting Jaron Ennis. And then there's also Yordenis Ugas, who Errol Spence Jr. just beat and who, in a Boxing Scene article that was put out by Jake Donovan, said that he thought Keith Thurman, Yordenis Ugas, believes that Keith Thurman is one of the best welterweights of that generation, and Yordenis Ugas, would like to fight Keith Thurman because he's going to continue to move on with his career. He wants a big fight and thinks Keith Thurman would be a good guy. But Errol Spence Jr. said something that I thought was really wild, because somebody came back to him and told him in the tweets, hey, Keith Thurman would knock you out. And Errol Spence Jr., man, that's a funny dude, said the world will never know because I am never going to fight him. And then he said someone else said Keith Thurman could go up to 154 and get, a shot at 154. And Errol Spence Jr. said, I'm ahead of him there as well. So it's like, he's like, man, ain't nowhere he's going to go to get no belts, not at 147 pounds, not 154 pounds, because I'm going to be there, right? This is my thing. I don't agree with Errol Spence Jr. saying he don't want to fight Keith Thurman. Well, I understand that he does not want to fight Keith Thurman and why he doesn't want to fight Keith Thurman. Right. And at the point we're in right now, there are definitely better options for him than Keith Thurman. Terrence Crawford is a better fight for him than Keith Thurman. And my opinion, Jaron Ennis, the IBF champion, that is probably a fight that I would be more interested in than the Keith Thurman fight. That fight more than likely ain't happening, though. And then at 154 pounds, really, the only fight at 154 that I would be more interested in with Errol Spence Jr. is the Jermell Charlo fight, which Errol Spence Jr. said he's open to having. But Jermell Charlo said he's not open to have that, right? But I don't think, and this is just me, I know there's a lot of people out there that always think that I agree with everything Errol Spence Jr. says and does. That is definitely not the truth, because this is the main one that I don't agree with him on. First of all, Keith Thurman, I think, gets a very, very bad rap, right, for being some type of coward out here in the boxing world. True, he did not fight Errol Spence Jr. when Errol Spence Jr. is a champion, and I can understand why Errol Spence Jr. did not respect that. However, that's bygones now, because there are several other people that also would not talk about him and did not want to fight him at various times either, like Sean Porter. But Sean Porter eventually took the fight, and he got the belt off Sean Porter. Danny Garcia wasn't trying to fight him as well. He still fought Danny Garcia. But I think that there's just something extra special with him about Keith Thurman, because when Keith Thurman had two belts, I do believe he had the WBC and the WBA at the same time, and Errol Spence Jr. had the IBF, which means all Errol had to do was get that Keith Thurman fight, and he could have had all three belts, and he could have moved on to the WBO a lot earlier and a lot easier if Keith Thurman would have just fought him. However, what's in the past is in the past. Errol Spence Jr. now has three belts. If he gets the fourth and he stays in the division, then Keith Thurman is a reasonable fight for him. And I don't think he should hold that personally against Keith Thurman. Because it's just kind of, you're doing the same thing that Keith Thurman did for a different reason, right? But still, it just seems to me to be a kind of petty and a little bit beneath Errol Spence. But if Errol Spence Jr. said it ain't beneath him, and he's like, nah, man, you did me like that, I'm doing you like that, it's his priority. It's just his prerogative. But I'm just really not feeling it, man. Now, as far as people saying that that Keith Thurman would be able to beat Errol Spence Jr., I don't believe that. Right? So there might actually be and I'm saying there's not a lot of people saying it, don't get me wrong. However, there may be just a little bit of sweet vindictiveness that Errol Spence Jr. can get by beating the brakes off Keith Thurman, man. Keith Thurman, in my opinion, is not going to go anywhere. He is most definitely going to get another championship shot, and I think the man deserves another shot. The dude was injured. Just take him at his word that the man was injured, and it took him a while to overcome those injuries. Errol Spence Jr. went through the same thing, and a lot more serious, right? However, took him a while to overcome those injuries, and injuries happen. You get sidelined, right? Now, Errol is I think a higher level fighter than Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman jumped out there, got Josesito Lopez, got right to Manny Pacquiao, blew the Manny Pacquiao fight and lost his belts. But at the same time, man, I don't think that he should be just, dismissed as somebody that has enough courage to even fight for a championship. That to me just seems like a little bit overkill, seems a little bit excessively disrespectful of Keith Thurman. And honestly, man, I think Keith Thurman is probably like the fourth best welterweight in the world behind Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, and Jaron Ennis. I would put Keith Thurman right there, right there, and maybe your Danny's Ugas, right after Keith Thurman, right? So if you're a top four welterweight and people are in that division, that guy should get a shot, and I certainly hope that he does get a shot, and I'm sure he will get a shot soon. But the pettiness of Errol Spence Jr., I understand, but at the same time, I got to acknowledge, man, that's just a little bit petty. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section, and with that, I'm out. Deuces.